Also included in self-discipline is something that's really hard. It's really tough. It really is. And that is to live within your means. We all know that we're supposed to live financially within our means. We're not supposed to spend more than we have. Here's what I think on this. I think that many lawyers who get into trouble, either with taking money from the trust account or simply taking in cases they shouldn't take because they don't have enough money in the checking account to pay their staff or their overhead or themselves, do themselves serious harm, because by not living within their means, either as a law firm or as an individual, you put yourself out there at risk of making mistakes. Forget for a second about the bottom line of whether you got money to pay your bills in the checking account and your check balances or something like that, and you have the NSF fee. Forget that. The issue is just equally important as to whether or not you start to take cases, law cases, that you ought not to take, particularly towards the end of the month. So practice self-discipline. Start and keep it that way. If you have a law firm, do it that way. If you have a sole practitioner's practice, do it that way. If you're a paralegal and you're on a salary, then for goodness sakes, do it with respect to your own income. It will make you happy, or if it doesn't make you happy, it will keep you from being unhappy. I promise you that. That will make you better at what you do. It will allow you to focus on your work and not worry about your personal situation quite so much. So practice self-discipline. You know, one of the things, I think it's different now, but when I practiced law, we used to have paper timesheets. I think it's now on computer now. You have to fill in your time on a computer, so it's a little bit more regimented now. That's probably a good thing. Rather than worry about that, look at that as a good thing. Anything you can use technology to do to enforce you to have structure is a good thing, because with paper timesheets that you can turn in. When I was with the large law firm, there were a number of attorneys who were, including myself, who were oftentimes late or slow in getting our timesheets into our assistants and into the system. The trouble, what that meant was, we had to go back and try to recreate what we had done, and that was just awful. We always couldn't do it. And the people we wound up cheating was probably ourselves, most of all, because we had put down everything, honestly, that we had done. So as long as there's a billable hour requirement, try to embrace it as best you can and keep it up to date as best you can. That's what I mean by living within your means and practicing self-discipline. The next one, owning your mistakes, taking responsibility for yourself. Don't you think that's hard? I do. I was never very good about that. But if you've made a mistake, say so. Judge Dupree used to say to juries, if you want to convict the defendant, just say so. If you think he's guilty. If you think he's innocent and you want to let him go, just say so. It's okay. Owning your mistakes is so important. People will really respect you. They will like you. If you are a paralegal and you've done something, an honest mistake, or not an honest mistake, either one, the smartest thing you can do is to go into your boss, the attorney, and say so. Don't sit on it. If you say so, it can be fixed probably pretty easily. And your boss will respect you for doing that. He really will, or she really will. Likewise, if you are dealing with a client, if you're a lawyer or a paralegal dealing with a client and you've made a mistake, call the client up or visit with the client, either in your office or somewhere, or send an email. Somehow let the client know that you have made a mistake and try to fix it as quickly as possible. Sometimes you will learn that you haven't made a mistake. One of the mistakes that I have made from time to time in what I do now with continue legal education is I forget or misplace or don't turn in someone's name to the state bar. And I have to go back and fix that. What I have learned is that if I jump on that right away, write the state bar an email, copy the person whose name I did not turn in, and get it fixed within a day or so, the person whose name I didn't turn in generally is so much appreciative to me, and perhaps they sign up and take my programs again, as opposed to just ignoring it and treating them somewhat indifferently. Not long ago, I was doing a program in Raleigh and giving everyone their certificates. It was in May, and I put on the top date, the date of the program, May 8th, or May whatever it was, 2015. It was May 21st. And then the signature line, I put May 21st, but I wrote the date in 2014 as opposed to 2015. There were 10, 12 paralegals there, and there were 2 certificates per paralegal. Now, part of me wanted to say, well, just draw a line through the bottom date and write 2015, which might have worked. What I did was I totally and completely redid the certificates and sent them back, a new group, to each of the paralegals again. So that, to me, worked. My other story about making a mistake and owning it came when I was working at 42nd Street one night, and I was waiting on 3 booths or 3 tables. And one of the tables had a bill which was around $90 plus, and the other one's their bill was around $60 some. Now, I inadvertently gave the ticket that was $60 to the table which had the larger amount. They quickly paid the check and left the building. And I went out in the parking lot looking for them to straighten it out, and they were gone. I could not find them. They had left. So I went slowly back into the dining room, walked up to the table. There was a man who happened to be a lawyer and a former member of the State Bar Council here in North Carolina. He's a lawyer, and a young boy with him. And I told him that I made this mistake, and I would give him this bill, but it would say $90, not $60, but he was only to pay $60. I would take care of the balance and would come out of my tips that night. He looked at me and said, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to pay the full amount." And he did. Not only did he do that, he tipped me 20% on the erroneous larger amount. And I asked him later why he did that. And you know what he said? He said to me, he said, "You know, that young man with me was my nephew. And I wanted him to see that when someone makes a mistake and is upfront about it, and is forthright and honest about it, that sometimes good things will happen. Sometimes good things will happen." Now you contrast that, my actions that night, with some of the mistakes, frankly, that I made during the last year or 2 that I practiced law, when I had the opportunity to also correct mistakes with various clients and failed to do so, and let it simmer and boil and get out of trouble, which eventually cost me everything from a legal perspective with my law practice. Don't do that. If you make a mistake, suck it up, suck it in, and just say so. That's what I would suggest. Just say so. Don't worry about it. Just let the chips fall where they may, and I promise you, more than likely, the chips are going to fall in a good way for you, not a bad way. The third idea, that is to say, living in the present, letting the past go. You know, I think letting the past go is probably the most difficult thing I do. It has now been a generation since I practiced law. But as you can tell from this video that you're watching, my memory of some of those times is still pretty keen and pretty sharp. I remember these times very well. I haven't forgotten them. And so there's a temptation on my part to live in the past, to try to undo that which has already been done and which I can't undo. But there's a temptation on me, to want to do that. And so what I have learned is that I have simply got to stop that. I've got to stop figuring out that I can spend a certain amount of time each week trying to live and redo things which I cannot do. All I have is right now. And as you're watching this video, quite frankly, that's all you have is right now. You don't have any more. And so it seems to me the way to make you better at what you do is to try to live not yesterday, not even tomorrow, but right now. And each day, if you're a paralegal or if you're a lawyer, to get up, make a list of things you want to do, what you want to get out of the day, what you want to get out of the morning, really, and do it. I knew, for example, when I got up today and taping this particular video, that one of the things I wanted to accomplish today was to do this video. I didn't want to put it off. I wanted to come and do this video. I wanted to make the most out of right now so that I can say a short time from now, well, I've just done 1 hour. You can do the same thing with anything you're working on. Put into place an idea or concept that you're going to do the things that are difficult, that are complicated, that are tough, that are hard. Perhaps you don't like to do them. Do those first. Now, I know that sounds really easy for me to say, but that's the truth. That will make the rest of your day go better. Give some structure to your day. Make a list. What do you want to accomplish this morning? What do you want to accomplish this afternoon? And do those things. That will make you better. I was doing a program for about 20 or 25 lawyers who were lobbyists with the General Assembly back in the winter of this year. And one of the participants, who was a former president of the State Bar Council, of the State Bar, was there sitting on the front row. And I was talking for 2 hours, and after the first hour, he comes up to me, and he says, Jim, this is really great. You're a good speaker. What a great story. And I looked at him as though he had lost his mind. I said, no, I do not have a good story. This is just not good at all. I try to live in the past. I try to go back and recreate it. I don't like this. And he said, you need to stop it, Jim. That is gone. You cannot change it. You cannot change it. All you have is right now. That is all you can do. But you are doing this well, and you need to continue to do this well. Don't worry about it. And then he told me some personal stories of himself where he was trying himself to force himself to live in the present. It's very difficult to live in the present. When I got in trouble years ago, everybody was trying to, I guess, save my soul. And they were sending me spiritual books. And the one that I remember the most had a great title. And the title of it was Don't Cry Past Tuesday. Don't Cry Past Tuesday. And it was about a father who happened to be a minister, was in the hospital dying. His daughter, his only daughter, was visiting in his hospital room and was weeping as he lay dying. And he said softly to her, I am so grateful you are here. And it pleases me that you are grieving for me. But I want you to promise me one thing. After you have grieved several days, I do not want you to grieve or cry past next Tuesday.